Story 1, Making Money. If you read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the like, it usually boils down to just start your own business. Or invest a couple $100,000 into real estate. Or buy up buildings and turn them into apartments. Yeah, if I had the money to do that, I wouldn't need this book in the first place. Story 2, Staying Motivated. Too many people lack the ability to push themselves forward when faced with challenges. The best thing you can do for yourself is to develop self-discipline when you are young. It will take you further than you will ever realize. Story 3, Making good conversation, specifically one-on-one, is challenging. To have someone be on the same wavelength as you without awkward pauses, cheap laughs, or forcing it is difficult to achieve, and most social people end up struggling with it just like the rest of us. Story 4, Just relax. Whether it is dealing with stress, anxiety, or getting to sleep, people throw just relax around like it is a magic spell. But actually relaxing on command is so hard. You are lying there trying to be calm, which somehow makes you even more stressed, and your brain keeps replaying every embarrassing thing you have ever done. Not exactly a recipe for peace. Story 5, Writing a story. It's easy to sit in traffic and dream of the 5 coolest scenes and so on for the rest. When you actually sit down to create something cohesive, those details represent more work than the cool parts. Story 6, Getting a degree. Tired of people saying, it's just a piece of paper. No, it's 4 years of paying for classes, tests, experiences, work, and grind. Story 7, Every person in every political discussion thinks they understand economics despite never having taken a course or spending any time studying it, so people must think economics is a very easy thing to learn. So easy that you can just sort of passively absorb it from watching the news without putting in any effort at all. But it actually takes time and effort and study, like any other subject. Story 8, Finding the right ways to actually address how you feel is more complex than most people pretend it is. As the biggest introvert alive, for example, I have a hard time socializing in real life, while on the internet I'm a pretty cool person. Haha. Story 9, Letting the past go. Being able to forget your first love. I am married and happy, but from time to time, that first love will pop into my mind, and I think of everything I did wrong. It helps me be better in my marriage to not lose my wife and always treat her right. Story 10, Being the bigger person is not easy. Letting go of grudges and allowing the other person to feel like they've won because you're backing down is challenging. I want to be mature, but I am also a spiteful person, and being the bigger person makes me feel like I'm losing and giving up. Everyone always says to do the right thing and be the bigger person so casually, but it's not easy to forgive someone. This is especially true when it's something that seems small to most people but means a lot to you personally. Story 11, Having an excellent full-time career, thriving marriage and children, vacations, a savings account, and a spotlessly clean house all at the same time is almost impossible for many in our world, including many in the United States. Story 12, I swear. Someone tried to tell me pregnancy was easy once. It is beautiful. It is messy, your body is changing dramatically, your hormones are trying to figure it all out, insomnia happens, food aversions, nausea, and so on. Sure, the end result is beautiful, but pregnancy is not easy. For the record, I am 13 weeks and mine has been relatively easy in comparison to most, but it still has its challenges. Story 13, Cooking. It takes extreme care to make something that others will enjoy. Anybody can make food for themselves and think it's fantastic because of their personal bias in making it. But the patience it requires to wait and the knowledge of when makes cooking well really not as easy as it seems. Story 14. Saving money is easy if you already have some. It's harder to build up savings when your whole paycheck goes to paying bills every week. I'm a divorced older man who lives alone, so I have to pay every single bill in life myself with no help from anyone else. Couples or people living with family have it much easier. Story 15. People who have never smoked almost always say, just quit, and think it's easy. It definitely isn't the worst addiction, but also really not that easy to quit. Story 16. Really anything that they have been doing for a while, but you have not. They forget how long it took them to get to where they are and can have unreasonable expectations for how easy it should be for you. Story 17. I am absolutely terrible when it comes to expressing myself in photos. Usually, whenever someone takes a photo of me, I just give the camera a 1,000-yard stare. Many of my family members have called photos of me scary because of the expression I make. Story 18. Painting. Everyone thinks of it as just rolling paint onto walls, when in reality the work is in the preparation, cutting in, ceilings, and the real time-consuming task, trim. Story 19. Just let it go is one of those phrases. It sounds simple, but actually letting go of something, whether it is a past mistake, a hurt feeling, or a relationship, can be incredibly difficult and take a lot of time. Story 20. Having multiple income streams or creating a side hustle is important. If I had an idea or a skill or hobby, I would do that in a second. But guess what? I don't, and I have no idea what to do to start one. Story 21. Their profession. I do not know much about programming, so Python is not, in fact, easy for me. I have tinkered with cars, but replacing a transmission is not, in fact, easy for me. Story 22. Approaching a stranger in public for the purpose of dating. I'm not asking for advice, because there is never anything actionable or constructive. The number of helpful people that say, fear of rejection? Nah, just do it. Hey, you mentioned social anxiety. Have you tried not doing that? Or my favorite, it gets easier with practice. Laugh out loud. Get the facts. Story 23. Just giving up foods for the health benefits. So many times I see people say, oh, just give up soda, or stop snacking, or things like that. I've been wanting to lose weight for literally a decade, but I always fall off the wagon when it comes to sugar, and then the entire plan collapses, especially drinking my calories in soda and coffee. It's so disheartening to know that if I could just power through it, I could make a drastic change to my size, health, and future with just 6 months of dedication. Addiction truly blows. Story 24. Depression comes to mind. If you do not have it, it is easy to say, just stop being so sad. Focus on the good things in life. We all get sad from time to time. Do not dwell on it. When in reality, it is literally a chemical reaction not taking place. Your dopamine and serotonin receptors are messed up. Story 25. Weight loss. If it's so easy, then why is it such a lifelong struggle with many failures for so many people? The majority of people in this country struggle with weight to some degree. People need to stop insulting their intelligence and feeling superior. Story 26. Divorcing a narcissistic spouse can make everything more complicated as they play power games and try to control the financial situation. It can take a great deal of time to get your finances straightened out so you can move on. Story 27. Teaching someone how to do something is harder than it looks. Just because you are great at something does not mean you know how to teach it. People who know their stuff tend to skip over important details because they assume the other person just gets it. It is not easy to break things down for someone who is hearing it all for the first time. Source: every math teacher I have ever had. It usually goes something like this. Do step 1, step 2, and step 3, and you will get the answer. Does steps 1, 2, and 3 and no answer. Did you do step 1A before step 2? There was a step 1A? Story 28. Being a good listener. People always say it's simple to just sit there and listen, but actually paying attention without jumping to your own response takes real effort. Story 29. Parenting means working every day, caring, showing integrity, having heart, standing up when no one else does, being honest, engaging in self-reflection, building a strong relationship, living the words that you speak, taking pride in your workmanship, being a role model for yourself and your family, being the captain of your own ship, also known as family, doing what is genuinely you, not what's impressive to others, and being solution-based. Just to name a few. Story 30. Express yourself, or you should talk more. Girl, I am trying, but my anxiety makes me stop before I've even said anything, especially in large groups of people I don't know. Story 31. Have total control of where, when, and why they are laughing or crying. In my case, crying is always disabling, destructive, and gets me into trouble. Thus, I absolutely never choose to cry, and all crying is involuntary. In my case, laughing is good, so I always choose laughing, health, happiness, freedom, and peace, but cannot make it happen. It happens spontaneously or does not happen. Story 32. Dating or putting yourself out there or whatever. While they don't say explicitly that it's easy, they tend to give this kind of advice like it's not a big deal. For someone who's had bad luck all their life, it's kind of hard to just put yourself out there after a while. Story 33. Reddit's perception of tech jobs. You always see on threads, I work 1 hour a day and could probably do my job in less. Never talk to anyone. Having been in the tech sectors in career roles in various industries over 10 years, that sounds like a student projecting what they think the industry is like. I love the industry, don't get me wrong, but roles involve quite a bit more effort, granted, ebbs and flows in everyone I've been in, and soft skills and communication are still incredibly important. Most people advance because they have mastered the softer side of their roles. Story 34. Letting your adult, 18-20s, kids make their own mistakes. I wish my parents were alive so they could reassure me it's going to be okay and so that I could tell them I'm sorry for the heartaches I caused them. Story 35. Trades. For some ungodly reason, tradesmen are considered unintelligent because they don't go to college or sit at a desk analyzing data. However, do you have any idea how many equations, rules, and skills you have to master in any trade to not only make a building structurally sound and safe, but also pleasing to a customer paying millions of dollars? I work in electricity, and it's not just turning light bulbs or twisting a couple of wires together. Believe it or not, a lot of trigonometry, electrical theory, math, and code regulations go into ensuring your building doesn't catch on fire. Story 36. Managing life by making a routine and sticking to it, especially if you have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I get distracted and disinterested while making lists and plans, and I forget they exist after one day. I wish I were better at this because it would turn my life around. Story 37. Being present in the moment. It's kind of easy when you're sitting on your butt not doing anything. But life demands a lot of things like working and earning money to bring food to the table, which requires thinking about the future. Story 38. Sobriety from specifically opiates or benzodiazepines is important because in most cases you need medical attention, and if you have a job, you're in a way forced to continue using or lose work. Story 39. Being a human daily. Sometimes I have to force myself to eat. It's annoying. Brushing your teeth is painfully boring, but we do it anyway to prevent poor hygiene. Story 40. One task that many people perceive as easy but can be surprisingly difficult is public speaking. While it may seem straightforward to stand up and talk to an audience, several factors contribute to its complexity. Nerves and anxiety. Many individuals experience significant anxiety about speaking in front of others, which can affect their performance and delivery. Engagement. Captivating an audience requires not only clear communication, but also the ability to engage listeners, manage their attention, and respond to their reactions. Content mastery. Delivering a compelling speech or presentation often demands a deep understanding of the subject matter, requiring extensive preparation and knowledge. Body language and presence. Effective public speaking involves nonverbal communication, such as body language, eye contact, and vocal tone, which can be challenging to master. Feedback and adaptation. A good speaker must be able to read the audience and adapt their message on the fly, which requires quick thinking and emotional intelligence. Story 41. Doing massages. Most people think you're rubbing someone's body but don't consider the strain or energy required to do it more than once a day. Most people are tired after 5 minutes. Story 42. Being original. There are 8 billion people alive on this planet, and several billion more who existed in all the years before humanity. Nearly everyone is thinking every waking hour of the day. So do you really think you have a new idea? Story 43. All of these answers are so deep, but I was going to say pie. Everyone says easy as pie, but pies are really time-consuming to make and can be horrible if you aren't completely focused on what you are doing. Story 44. Making a pop song. Every time a popular song comes on, someone has to say, they aren't even talented. Anyone could do that, after which they proceed to not be able to do that very thing. Writing even a simple song that people like is really, really hard. Story 45. Opening up to my wife and kids. I spent the first 20 years locking everything away from my family because it would definitely be used against me. Now I have spent years working on opening up to my wife and kids. I love and trust them more than anything, and still find myself locking things away because you never know. Now could be the time they use it against me. In my heart, I know my wife and kids are on my side. But my brain has a part that says, weren't your mom and dad supposed to be on your side too? Look how that turned out. So I force myself to open up about things to my wife and kids, but it is not easy at all. Story 46. Breaking up with a longtime partner. People say all the time, you should leave them, especially on Reddit, but they almost always vastly underestimate how difficult that can be. Story 47. Letting go in a relationship sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things to do. It is not just about walking away. It is about healing, finding yourself again, and learning to move forward without looking back. Story 48. Lose weight. A lot of people say just eat fewer calories than you burn. And while mathematically that is entirely true, it ignores all the complex reality of achieving that balance and maintaining it long term. It is the equivalent of saying someone can be rich by spending less money than they make. Story 49. Quick service restaurant work. Quick service restaurant concepts are based on being fully staffed, basically one employee for every step of the operation, and they don't move from their given position unless it's not busy. Unfortunately, franchisees trying to squeeze out every last dime and things like bonuses based on labor costs mean most quick service restaurants are severely understaffed. More than likely, that fast food place you're complaining about is running at less than 50% of the staff that the corporation recommends it operates with.